This is Eryri, where epic comes in many forms. 9 mountain ranges, coastline for miles, acres of dense forest. Millions are drawn to this part of North Wales every year. But this is a wild landscape. Hello! Where the best day of your life can quickly become the worst.
Police emergency, how can I help?
There's a little boy trapped in the mountain.
And when a call for help comes in, the busiest network of rescue agencies in the country must join forces.
How did you get here?
Professionals and volunteers, side by side.
Team Lloyd.
Each team bringing vital skills and local knowledge.
Helicopter inbound.
Of how to save a life in a landscape like no other.
2 casualties from 5 changing injuries.
Life is good when people help each other.
Eryri's epic views have been millions of years in the making. But today, a new generation of fans is discovering them online.
Social media is a blessing and a curse. Some of us use it as a tool to find out where we'd like to go. Other people are really hungry to get those Instagram photos and the perfect peak. It draws lots of people into these beautiful places. Not always the best idea without the right knowledge and experience.
Meet Connor.
It was my day off work. I really hate to waste days off work, so I thought I'd make my way down to Snowdonia and climb a mountain. I saw this mountain Chiran on Instagram. It's a very photogenic mountain.
So today I thought it'd be a good idea to go and climb a mountain. So I climbed a mountain called the Trifan. And the interesting thing about this mountain is there's no essential path to the top. It's more of a scramble. Use your hands, your arms to pull yourself up to the top of the summit.
Because there's an element of risk to it, that's a sense of appeal. And I thought, I can do that. The plan for the day was a solo hike. Usually I would go with my brother or some friends, but no one else was able to go with me that day, so I thought, do it myself. The route I wanted to take was the North Ridge route, because I knew it was the hardest, but I also knew it was the most photogenic. So I just put in my AirPods and cracked on with a podcast and just started making my way up. The view was spectacular. It felt like the Swiss Alps. It didn't feel like England. Or Wales. Or Wales. I took some really cool pictures at the top. A selfie I sent straight to my brother. I felt like Tom Cruise for a moment. On the way down, I thought I'll go a slightly different route. So I was just trying to go whichever bit looked the easiest. And I pushed myself sort of into an awkward position and I fell a little bit. And I dropped onto this ledge, but all I could see was a death drop. I realised, actually, I can't get off this.
I'm stuck. And I've got death drops either side of me.
I do what any young man does, and I rang my mum. I don't know what to do in this point. I don't know even who to call. I'd never been in this situation before. And she said, well, I can call mountain rescue for you.
Hello, it's West Midlands Police here. We've got a bit of a mountain rescue type call for you. He found his mum. He's got about 60% battery. He's stuck on Trifan Mountain. Yeah, sorry. He's managed to drop onto a ledge. Can't get off it.
Connor is in a dangerous position and only has a few hours before the sun sets and temperatures plummet. The Coast Guard helicopter is dispatched. Winching Connor off the ledge would be the quickest way to get him to safety.
In the distance, I hear this, and it's this helicopter, this red helicopter, coming towards me.
The helicopter has found Connor, but he's stuck on a small peak, surrounded by vertical drops. And now they've got sight of his exact position. It's clear getting any closer will risk blowing him off the ledge.
You don't know how much wind comes off the helicopter propellers. So as it became closer to me, the more I suddenly started to realise, oh my God, it could actually knock me off. Found myself hugging this rock just so that it didn't do that.
It's just too dangerous to winch him out by helicopter.
When I saw the helicopter start to move away, I was sort of like, what's going to happen now?
It's time for a multi-agency response. The Coast Guard helicopter picks up a mountain rescue team to be dropped as close as possible to where Connor's stuck.
Everyone loves a helicopter ride. Because you don't have to carry anything up the mountain. It's like the lazy ride up.
I've been waiting for nearly 5 hours, and finally this helicopter returns, and it begins to descend people down. It didn't look real, it looked crazy.
We were sort of put slightly off to the side and down a bit from where the casualty was. I'm just trying to get my bearings where the path comes up.
Essentially, I couldn't see the obvious track below him, so I think he's higher up than it.
Where is the path in relation to us?
The gully's down here somewhere.
OK, so it's probably that way then. We had to have a little quick think about where we were, because it can be a bit disorientating when you're just dropped onto the mountainside. So once we'd established that, we could figure out which direction to start walking in.
The access track is scrambling and I would put crampons on for it because it's exposed and serious. It's not very nice and there's not a lot to get your crampons on.
No, okay.
It's just that horrible angle.
The conditions mean it's slow going, but thanks to the helicopter, within just half an hour, the team have found Connor.
How are you doing?
Thank you very much for coming out.
No problem.
We've got the casualty now by the Western Gully and the rest of the team.
I felt a massive sense of relief when I saw the 8 guys coming towards me. After 5 hours, I'm just knackered, I'm tired. Finally, I'm going to be getting off this ledge.
Just gonna have a little look round this corner. How about we go this side?
We knew that we needed to lower him off the ledge that he was on to get him down this sort of 3 or 4 metres of steepness.
Connor, if I throw this up to you, you see that big spike in front of you? Right in front of you is a massive piece of rock, that thing you're staring at, that. What I want you to do is put this over the top of it, and then I'm going to throw the rope up to you as well, and I'm going to get you to loop it in, and then I'm going to climb up but get one of these guys to give me a top rope. Here we go, ready? Well done.
And I wouldn't normally suggest throwing a sling up to the casualty for my safety, but on this occasion, we between us as a team could watch him and kind of talk him through it.
Okay, so don't clip the end in, clip a piece like this. So this bit, clip it through, that's it. Yeah, and send the knot back to me, that's it. Brilliant, you remember the team now?
I was greeted by a very friendly face, Mo, a very lovely young lady, and she climbed herself up to me. It was a big sense of relief.
You did get yourself in a bit of a pickle here, eh? How did you get here?
I was making my way down, and I was like, I don't have a clue in the path.
Did you come down here?
Yeah, that's where I came down.
Fair play.
So when I tried to climb back up, but a piece of rock broke off, and I almost fell down here.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah.
You did the right thing making the call, mate, by the way.
And then she began helping me with a harness.
The snugger the better, eh?
Yeah.
What we'll do is we're going to lower you down to this little ledge.
Yep.
And then these lovely chaps coming along here, we'll head over to them.
Okay, yep.
Right, Tim, if you take in the rope, you're going to feel this go tight in a minute.
Okay.
Happy? Okay. As you go over this bit, just sort of support yourself as best you can.
Yep.
And it might be that as you do it, you sort of turn this way, because that's where you'll end up.
He seemed relatively okay. He was incredibly grateful for our arrival, incredibly grateful to be lowered down the little step and to walk off with us.
Jamie, he hasn't got micro spikes on yet. I'm going to clip onto this line to get myself down in a minute as well.
The moment I got off the rock, we spoke of the serious nature of the incident. First thing I said was how embarrassed I was for getting myself stuck. And I remember Mo saying, do you know what, we're so glad you called. It said someone had died previously near to where I got stuck. And they said it happens all too often. I think I was probably a bit too cocky with the way I approached it. I kind of thought, I can do that. I totally underestimated that sometimes things go wrong. I did feel really embarrassed, you know, having to call my mum, calling for help. I was like, oh man, this isn't what Tom Cruise would be doing right now. So lesson learned. Social media, it looks perfect on there, but you aren't really fully aware of the risks that come from these days out.
We were really fortunate that the helicopter flew us up there on that particular day. It meant that we could get the casualty down an awful lot quicker. And if the sun had gone down and this had been the same scenario, it could have been a very different rescue.
Multi-agency rescues like this rely on fast, clear, effective communication. But in some conditions, even getting basic messages between team members can be a challenge.
The issue with Glyder Fach is that it's quite grassy and it has rocks, lots of rock steps in it, especially when it's quite slippery. You can get yourself into a bit of a pickle quite easily. The navigation down there, it can be quite difficult. There's not many features to work off. And especially in the fog, you could quite easily start walking downhill and end up somewhere you have no idea where you are.
It's August. 2 people have been caught out on Glyder Fach after a sudden change in the weather.
It was a relatively nice morning, and it's now misty, raining and horrid, and they can't see their way down. They haven't got a map and compass, so we have to go and fetch them.
Not very easy ground actually there, to be honest with you.
We were told that there was 2 people and they were lost somewhere in the Glyder Fach area, which is usually what we get, usually quite vague.
One of the team's youngest recruits, Finn, heads out with the rescue group, while his dad Kim mans the radio from base.
I think my earliest memory of being out in the mountains would be my dad teaching me how to lead climb on there.
Just checking your location. Estimated time to the casualty, over?
Oggy Base from 223, about 45 minutes to an hour.
All copied. Give me a shout when you get to the top of the gribbing and I'll get the casualties to stand up and start whistling, over.
Finding people is always really difficult because you've got such a massive area to search.
Oggy Base, be advised, weather conditions at 800 metres are worsening.
Visibility was pretty low. I think we could see about 20 metres ahead of us, if that. You know, there were points where me and Rick were searching and we could talk to each other, but we couldn't see each other.
Rescuers Rick and Finn aren't just struggling with visibility though. The weather is also affecting the radio signal.
Oggy Base from 223, radio check, over.
Message unreadable, over.
Right, we'll get moving. We know where they roughly are there, don't we?
It was a bit awkward because we couldn't get phone signal and the radios weren't great.
Oggy Base from 223, send message to Rick Potter.
Can you confirm that Rick is injured, over?
Trying to get comms with base that day was quite difficult. I think I had to run back up to the summit at one point to get into contact.
Oggy Base from 223.
Confirm message Rick Potter, over.
Oggy Base from 223, send text to Rick Potter.
I think you got that.
The rescue team are close to the casualties' rough GPS location, but the thick fog means they still can't see them.
It's Kim again from the rescue team. If you could start shouting, flashing your torch, that would be great.
Concern for the casualties just sort of starts to grow. The longer it takes us to find them, the worse condition they're going to be in. And then we heard a response.
Here we are, we'll be right with you.
Mountain Rescue have found the casualties.
Where they were in was quite a hairy spot. When the fog comes in and you're not prepared for it, you can very quickly lose where you are.
Excellent news then, Rick. Woo! They're with the casualties and on the way down.
They'd gone for quite a long walk and they clearly hadn't checked the forecast. Didn't have a paper map and they didn't have a compass. Don't think they had waterproofs with them either. All the things you need for a full day in the mountains. You can't over-prepare for that sort of thing.
On sunny days, the lure of Eryri's mountains is particularly strong.
Oh, yes.
But warm weather carries its own risks. At nearly 3,000 feet, Cadair Idris is the highest mountain in southern Eryri.
Cadair Idris is the honeypot mountain as far as we're concerned. It's well known and it's popular. Most of our jobs tend to be around Cadair Idris. That day was forecast to be the hottest day of the year so far. We knew straight away the potential for something to kick off was always there.
Police emergency, how can I help?
I've been on Cadair Idris. I've literally just run out of steam. I think I've got heat stroke. I don't think I can walk off the rest of the way. I'm on my own at the moment. Unfortunately, there's no shade anywhere.
Okay. Next person that you hear from would be Mountain Rescue.
A 52-year-old man called Phil has collapsed while making his way down from Cadair Idris' summit in scorching 34-degree heat.
Do you know if he's walking?
The first 2 team members set off to reach the casualty as quickly as possible. Just behind them, the rest of the team prepares to deploy.
1001, okay, we're bringing up a lot of water behind you.
We've got a party now with backup kit, stretcher, etc., just about to depart.
If untreated, heatstroke can be deadly, so the team must get to Phil as quickly as possible.
From heat exhaustion to heat stroke, it can happen like that. Temperature within the body goes up and up and up. It can kill you.
We'll start moving the kit up the hill, but yeah,
Okay.
we don't want to get heat exhaustion ourselves.
Phil's location means the team have no choice but to take the Minffordd path, the steepest route up the mountain.
Not an easy walk, and I call that personally Heart Attack Hill. It's so strenuous. You've got to think of the team members as well. Carrying a lot of water.
I've opted to carry 15 litres of water. It was heavy.
10, Mobile 1, go ahead over.
We're with the casualty, still feels nauseous. We're dousing in water, making a bit of a shelter for him to keep him out of the shade.
The first 2 responders have reached the casualty and update Dave by radio.
We're using a lot of water on him.
There's 4 one-gallon containers of water coming up with that backup party and the stretcher.
But as the second team gets partway up, they strike on an idea.
I think we could revive him here.
There's a slate bridge in the stream there, and that's a great place to cool him off. Shade there as well.
The plan could save them risking their own safety by stretching him for 2 hours down the mountain on such a hot day.
We got quite a bit of water, so we might, but it's whether we can cool him down enough to get him to here, isn't it? I think.
Carrying so much water up steep terrain in this heat is pushing the backup party to their limit. Luckily, more help is on the way.
This was my first call out for the Abu Dhabi team. I had got there just behind the main party. They were 20 minutes ahead of me. I managed to catch up with Phil, who was a trooper and was carrying 15 litres of water.
Have you got much on you?
No, they've told me not to take anything. Yeah, I can take some stuff. He offloaded some of the water onto me so that I could take it a bit more quickly.
There you go. That'll make a messes.
I regularly run up that mountain, so I knew how fast I could go and how to manage myself if I got too hot.
If you're quicker than me, head up and just, when you get there, tell Steve you got the first of the water. It was a hot old day, so you just have to really watch out for my own welfare as well. Oh, to be young and fit.
Water had been poured over the casualty almost constantly for as long as they had enough water available.
To function properly, the human body must maintain a temperature of 37 degrees centigrade. At 40 degrees, heat stroke occurs. Phil's temperature is just below that threshold, but he's still suffering from severe heat exhaustion.
His pulse rate is 87.
Respiratory rate 20. The treatment for heat exhaustion.
The first thing is to stop exertion, which we've done, but if we walk off, we'll be restarting exertion and he could get worse.
I set off a lot later than I planned to that morning, towards the hotter part of the day. But I don't think I was quite prepared for 34 degrees on the summit. It was incredibly hot. I was due to pick the children up from school at 3:30, and I was pushing a pace that I would normally, not do. I'd already started to feel a little bit dizzy. I realised I really couldn't go any further.
We were there for probably a good hour with the casualty. It could be really serious. It could need a helicopter and immediate hospital treatment if it was heat stroke.
The treatment for your symptoms is for you to stop exertion. All you don't want to happen is you get heat stroke, because that becomes very serious. Yeah.
To mitigate the risk of Phil tipping over into heat stroke, the team decide to carry him 500 metres down the mountain to cool off in the river.
Strap you in there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Normally our casualties would be in a big furry bag, casualty bag, but that's not a great idea with you. 3, 2, 1, lift.
Once they get to the bridge and the main path, they'll reassess, and that will give the casualty a bit more time to hopefully recover a bit more. At the same time, you've got to factor in the welfare of team members as well, because they're having to work really hard in very warm conditions.
That was my first live stretcher carry with a real casualty, so I was a bit apprehensive. Stretchering is quite hard work. You're constantly trying to keep the stretcher upright as well as trying to keep yourself upright. Quite exhausting, and you do get very warm. But the risk to us was minimal compared to the risk of the casualty going into heat stroke.
Get yourself up anyway. And then,
Free now there.
okay. Hold on.
Gonna swing your legs round.
He's alert, and he's now cooling in the river. He looks a lot better. Over.
I was already starting to feel an awful lot better. Still a little wobbly, but an awful lot better than I did before.
With Phil's temperature finally stable, he's able to begin walking himself down Cadair Idris's lower slopes.
I think one of the biggest mistakes I made that day was to overestimate my level of hill fitness. I tried to cram too much into too short of a window. To go out in the heat again, I would be very, very cautious.
Very, very relieved.
Get them in.
Thank you. Wasn't sure I was going to get off without any help. It's nice to know that these guys are here to be relied on when you need them, so yeah, very, very grateful.
He did the right thing. He called mountain rescue himself. I feel fortunate that going on my first call out, everything went smoothly.
And of course, let's applause. Jen! Let's call out. Well done.
It always amazes me just how well we work together in a team. We all have those skills, and combined, you can help save somebody's life.
From the peaks of Snowdonia to the shores of